On this episode of Rogue Creators, we are jumping into podcast guesting and how to promote your show.
We drop a lot of knowledge.
Dude, this is a fun one. And by the way, stay tuned until the end. It's worth it. I might even get something. It's terrible. Yes. Here we go. All right, Lauren, we're back in the studio. How's it going?
It's going good.
Good. Hey, I'm excited. Again, 2021, we're moving right along.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. We kind of finalized some stuff around here, right? We've got the studio set up here. Yeah. Jacob's back with us again today.
Woo-woo.
What's up? What's up, Jacob? Give a wave to the camera. If you're not already watching, you should be.
Yes, you
should. We do an audio recording with also a fully produced video as well, so you can kind of see behind the scenes. You guys can check that out at goroguex.com/podcast or on our YouTube channel. We need to show some YouTube channel some love. It's kind of sad over there. It is kind of sad. We just haven't focused on. I'm telling you something. When you focus on something, you can actually get some growth out of it, and you can see that we haven't focused on our YouTube channel, but we are now. Go over there. We upload all the time. We just don't.
Resolution for 2021.
There it is.
Show some love.
Yeah, show some love to the YouTube. All right, hey, today we're going to be talking about how to promote your podcast, but also how to get guests on your podcast.
Yes.
Which tends to be a thing.
It tends to be a really tricky problem.
It is. It's finding guests, but also finding the right guests, finding times to schedule with those guests, as well as show prep and expectations. Yeah. And then on the back end, we're kind of combining too, because promoting that show and how to include your guests in promotion of that show as well. We're going to dive into some really cool stuff today.
Absolutely.
But before we do,
we like to start each episode off with, what are you obsessed with this week? So Brian.
No, Lauren, what are you obsessed with this week? After recalling my mind here real quick.
Oh, I see what's going on. So I'm going to fall into a female stereotype. I watched rather quickly the whole new season of Bridgerton on Netflix.
I have no idea what that is.
It's Shonda Rhimes' new show.
Who?
She is the...
Talk to me like I'm a fourth grader.
Okay. She's had her hand in Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder. She's known for having really strong female leads.
Yeah. Okay.
So she left, if I'm correct on that, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but she left CBS and she's now signed with Netflix on this particular series. And so anyways, this is her first time to be on a streaming platform where she's actually, developing for them. And so anyways, this is like kind of, it's a book series, but it's like Pride or Prejudice kind of drama.
Okay.
Anyways, it's like super good, but it's like soap opera-ish, and it's, I'm not like super proud of it, but it was actually really, really good.
See, I can get into like your Cobra Kai recommendations.
Yes, I know. I wasn't going to recommend Bridgerton to you.
I'm sorry,
but shout out to the Amy Morgan. We were talking about how good it was. Yeah. So, I have Amy for that.
Okay. Well, it has some clout now since Amy likes it. So
she's way cooler than I
am. Okay, so for mine, we're going to talk about Facebook groups in general, but I had got accepted. You have to be accepted into the Rare Bourbon NWA Facebook group.
That's hilarious.
You have to I appreciate they're like pretty strict about like you have to live here and you have to like know something. I'm learning so much about rare bourbon.
Like you have to share a random fact about bourbon.
Yeah, you have to like list like you can't be just like something basic. Like you have to actually know what you're talking about
alcoholic.
A little bit. It's alcohol, yes. It's Alcoholics Non-Anonymous. No, I enjoy, a nice little pour every once in a while, and so it is one of those things. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Right. I am not a bourbon aficionado, right? Is that what
but you will be soon.
But I will be, yeah. But it's interesting because it is. I'm learning all kinds of like different types, and one of our clients, Nathan Otwell, he's an awesome guy.
Is he in the group?
I don't think he is.
You should invite him.
I need to, but he's taught me a lot too, just especially with Scotch and the different types of Scotch and just even just general just whiskey. And so I'm learning lots, and so I'm seeing what I need to buy because most of the time I'd go in, I'm like get a recommendation from the Yahoo at Macadoodles. Nice. Shame to Macadoodles. I'm
or
sorry.
you can go to
We love you, Macadoodles. I'm not saying it's bad, but
or you can go to our friends at King
that's what I
James
was gonna say.
Wine.
So actually, that's the reason. So this week, I recommended James over there.
Nice.
Yeah, I tagged him. People were like, "I'll drive by that place all the time." But I never stop in. And I was like, and so I shared a picture of like his selection that he has, and somebody said, "Hey, I went in there today." So I didn't feel comfortable enough saying, "Hey, like tell him Brian sent you."
You should have.
I
You've
should
been
have.
so excited.
I know. I need to let him know. So yes, James King of King James Wine School. He was on our podcast before.
Yeah, you should check out that episode. It's really fascinating.
It is. Oh, dude, and he's such a fun guy. He's British, and so you get that awesome accent as well as he's like super witty and kind of
he keeps you on your toes.
yeah, it was great. So anyway, but yeah, that kind of like pushed me into that. So
Cool.
I'm exploring Facebook for actually connecting with people and my
Nice.
interests rather than just my business and marketing. So
Yeah.
as I'm talking about it on my business and marketing podcast, but that's all right.
That's
so
totally fine.
so if you're in Northwest Arkansas, jump into that. We may or may not approve you. It's an exclusive club.
Oh my gosh.
But talking about Facebook groups in general, like getting into how do you connect and find guests for your shows.
Right.
Do we want to talk about that first? Or are we going to talk about promoting? You have the layout here.
Okay.
Guide us, Lauren.
Well, I mean, we're kind of. Let's talk about finding guests first, because this is a big problem for podcasters. It's not necessarily always finding guests, but it's finding the right guest. I think that's really the particular. And knowing the right guest for your show is really important too. And we've talked a little bit through that a little bit, but not a ton. So what would be like maybe your top 3 tips for solidifying the best guest for your show?
Top 3 right off the
come on.
Man,
You're
it's
the
rapid
expert.
fire.
Let's
Oh
do this.
goodness. Yeah, so well, one, like and you have heard that them being on other shows.
Right.
Like they can actually address a camera. Like people, when they get in front of a microphone, it can be very intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so obviously that, I would say quality as well. Like we get into, like, it's okay to have Zoom recordings.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to use, I mean, you should never ever use like your laptop microphone, but if you can do some in-ear, earbuds or something like that, or AirPods, so making sure that they have some level of understanding about, quality, but then also like, what are they going to be able to talk about?
Yes.
So is that going to be valuable to your audience? I guarantee you I could put a post on Facebook and say, hey, I need a guest for my show, and probably line up 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they're actually going to bring you, who is listening right now, any kind of value, that's important to us. We want to make sure that who we have on our show is not going to waste your time. We want to make sure that, you're giving that to us right now. Like you're listening to our podcast. We want to honor your time and make sure that's valuable for you. So that is a huge, huge thing to make sure that you actually have value on your show, and that guest is bringing that to your audience, something different as well. I think with ours, we kind of got into like different levels of like influencer marketing, and our friends here at Soapbox.
Yeah.
And then we talked about influencer marketing mainly in the nonprofit space. And it was like, it's the same topic, but it's completely different. And so at that point I was like, oh yeah, we can make this work because it is bringing value to 2 different, basically industries or verticals. And so, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I feel good about that. I just kind of rambled. I threw that out
it
there.
wasn't rambly. I thought it was great.
Thanks.
So the last tip that I would say, I'm going to share my one tip. I'll just do
You only do one?
Yeah. We talk a lot. If you've listened to our show enough, you'll hear us talk about the pillars. So we recommend for every podcast to kind of have these 4 pillars that you kind of focus in on. And these would be like 4 categories of topics. So for us, we focus a lot on social media, podcasting. We focus on video trends, and then we kind of talk about the why behind what we do. And that really helps us when we're finding guests, because we want to have that variety. And so we're looking for guests that are going to fit each of those pillars. So that also helps, because sometimes we can hit too many of the one pillar, and then our podcast only becomes about that one thing.
Yep.
And so kind of thinking about that as you're kind of putting together a wish list for the guests that you want will help first before you start searching. So say I have my wish list. Now what do I do, Brian?
Oh, goodness. Well,
what's your top 3?
just really, you pray hard that someday that you'll bump into each other.
Right. Yeah. It's just somebody. You want to be on my podcast?
Yeah. So you have your wish list, and I just to hit on those 4 pillars. I mean, we talk about that, and we really push that even with our clients of like making sure that it is, 4 different areas really that you're focused on, because all of a sudden you really can start to see the pieces fall into place when you are finding guests for your show. So, but yeah, you have your list. I mean, as weird as it is, like just flat out ask.
Yes.
Like just do it. Just ask them. And there's multiple ways that you can do this. The one that we have found to be the most successful is specifically with Instagram, but also like DMing them with a video.
Yes.
So responding to them with a video, it just completely separates you from everybody else who is in their messages. And so I've done that. I started just trying to do that with everybody. So if we get a new connection, I try to just respond through video. It's easier for me to talk than it is to type. And so it is one of those things that, like, for me, it makes sense, but then also it separates my messages, like I said, from the other ones coming in. So that one is just ask. Is that too plain and simple?
No, I think it's great. And I think with that ask, it's developing not just like, hey, can you be on my podcast? And I think a lot of people think that podcasts are really cool. And so that should be enough. Like, wouldn't you want to be on my podcast?
Why don't you want to be on my show?
But for some people, you know, it's going to be from the intimidation perspective, is that they've never been on a podcast. Like, you're going to have to convince them. Other people, it's a time issue. Why should I give up my time to be on your show? And so including that reason in there, this is how our show will bring value for you and your audience that you're working with. And so making sure that you include that is going to be really important in your ask.
Absolutely. And I would hit on, don't be sleazy in it. Don't try to start this conversation as like a friend and hey, how's it going? I'm so glad. Like, and we're kind of moving to like, you can talk about, if you know them, talk about their show, talk about what you enjoy about it. Don't be sleazy about it though. Don't act like you're not after something, right? Don't have an angle. Be kind of upfront about that. Be like, hey, just so upfront, I would love to have you on my show. Here's some things I've loved about your show and how you've really, brought me value. And, you can obviously do that, but don't lie about it. Don't go into it wanting to be friends with somebody. And then it's kind of like the classic, like, somebody messaging you from your high school that you haven't seen in forever, and they're like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey, it's good. Haven't seen you in a long time. Great. Hey, do you want to sign up for my MLM?
Oh, my gosh.
You need to come sell oils for me. I'm like, we haven't talked in 10 years. Like, don't do that on a podcast guest either. Like,
I see you've liked a lot of my posts.
Yeah.
Are you interested?
I see you've engaged with my content. I'm like, is that how we talk in real life? No. Be real. Be real. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great way, if you're looking for guests, is authors. That's one that we've really hit on. If you have a bigger podcast that's gaining some ground, authors are always looking away, especially if they're going to launch a book. They try to get on a lot of podcasts to promote their book. And so it's a great opportunity to invite someone. Obviously, make sure it's relevant to your actual podcast. But it really helps them, kind of an intriguing guest, and they're typically pretty well spoken because they have quite a bit of content to go through.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and again, as long as the book fits your audience, right?
Yes.
But then also, I mean, they are, and I want to say this, they're easy.
They are.
They're usually like you said, well-spoken. They're ready to go. Like, they're promoting something. And so they're trying to get out there as much as they can. So that's something we haven't really promoted on our show a little bit. We have some authors coming up. We're really excited to talk even kind of some bigger names. That we're like, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So when we're looking for podcast guests, what are some tools that you would recommend, Brian, for finding guests?
Oh, man. So we're going to be fully transparent here. This has been a fun process.
Yes, it has.
So it is. It's interesting because we are now offering this as a product offering. We didn't intend on doing that at the beginning, but it has definitely turned into that. Pardon you, coffee. Okay. I'm fine. Okay. She still has her lingering cough. It's okay. She tested it. She's fine. We're all fine. Gosh. We're not being irresponsible. I feel like I have to have that disclaimer.
Oh my gosh.
I was in a podcast group, speaking of Facebook groups the other day, and somebody was like, hey, we're going to like interview like a big name person. And then they got like people like came down on them for like doing in-person interviews. I'm like, you can still be cautious. You can still be careful. Like, be smart, right? So
very much be smart.
Be smart. Okay. So, we are offering this as guesting services, and it is intense on like trying to figure out who would be a good fit for your show, especially for some of our clients. And so we've looked out there for all kinds of resources and how to do this the right way. Obviously not just spamming people like crazy. You don't want to do that. But there are a lot of resources out there, like Podit is actually a great guesting service where it's like you can create a profile like, hey, I would love to be on a show, but you could also be on ours, and you can kind of see what people have done. It kind of takes the guesswork out of it. Everything is there, as well as Matchmaker.fm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking for a Saturday night fling, no.
Oh my gosh.
That's what it sounds like. Seriously, anytime I said like, oh yeah, Matchmaker, I had to make that disclaimer because in my email pops up Matchmaker. I'm like, I promise. I'm happily married, and it is a podcasting service. But actually, James, and I apologize, I don't remember his last name. He's the owner of it, and he actually does some great YouTube videos as well. We'll find his stuff and link it in the comments. But yeah, that's a great service as well. And again, you can kind of create profiles and kind of set up stuff through there to be able to like actually interact with other people who, you know, already have taken the guesswork out of being professional on a microphone. You can see what they bring to your audience as well. So it's a great service.
Yeah, and I mean, these are the newer ways. There's the old school way of going into the categories, you know, through podcasts and looking at people within your industry. You know, a lot of times podcasters will swap. You'll be on my show, I'll be on your show. It's a great way to just like collaborate with somebody. And it's also, you know, if you are a podcaster and you haven't had a lot of podcasters on your show, it's really refreshing actually. Yeah. Just because they know exactly how it feels to be on the other side of the microphone. They know what it's like to have guests, to prep, to do all the things. So it's kind of just all of a sudden you kind of relax a little bit with them, and it's pretty great. So if you haven't gotten podcasters on your show, you totally should.
Absolutely. We had some recent ones. Randy, with I Am Northwest Arkansas, Jara from Leisure List. Who is another? Oh, Jesse, Branch Lab Mission. He's Branch Mission Labs. I'm so sorry, Jesse. I messed it up in our interview too. That was a great interview. We talked about the influencer side of nonprofits. He's doing some awesome stuff over there. But it's great to be able to have people on your show that already know. Randy actually came with his whole setup. Like we recorded with his. It was cool to see another podcaster how their process and how they go and how they do it. And so it really is a lot of fun, and obviously cross promoting, collaborating. In your industry is obviously a lot of fun too. So.
Yeah. So there's a lot of great ways to find guests. And I think it's just continuing at it and being strategic, being human about it. And so kind of once you start getting the ball rolling, one of the things that is the greatest travesty to your guests is that you spend all this time getting these amazing guests and then you never promote your show.
Yep. You put it out there and then the next week comes along, you promote, do another show, but not actually giving your guests their due diligence of promoting them. I agree with that.
Yeah. So, kind of chatting through a little bit about how to promote your show. One is to post about it, but what would be some of your top tips, Brian, for promoting your podcast?
So there are a lot of ways, obviously, to promote your show, especially through social media and content. But if you are really trying to make it easy for your guests to share that stuff, stories is the easiest way.
Yes.
Tag somebody on Instagram in their stories. It makes it easy for them to be like, oh yeah, I'll add that to my stories. Like not tagging somebody is just, it's terrible. You should... Like you're kind of stepping on your own feet if you're not doing this already. So make sure that you are tagging them, especially on social media posts, making sure that it's public. These are like kind of basic things, but like we run into this stuff all the time. And so you want to make sure that those things are out of the way, as well as if you're inside some of these Facebook groups as well, if you interviewed somebody who is kind of prominent in that, be careful about like the rules and restrictions of like self-promotion.
Yeah.
But if you are trying to promote them, post inside those groups if it brings value to that Facebook community. And so as dumb as it is, but like sharing just the link.
Yes.
We build so much content and then put links in it, but a lot of times you can just share the YouTube link itself, IGTV, if you're doing any kind of video as well. I mean, there are lots of ways on social to share it, getting into your email list, right? Making sure that if you had somebody on your show, send out an email blast to everybody, even if it's just a snippet inside your regular newsletter. Make sure that you're promoting them there. So,
yeah, absolutely. And there's really easy steps. If you're haven't really gotten into content creation, that seems like a really overwhelming feat for you. Some basics is when you have someone on your show, request their bio, request their headshot. You can simply do some small things around. If you're just always posting your cover art, people tend to kind of get they just tune it out. And so kind of try to do some different things. There's some great tools that can automatically make a, cool audiogram or something for you. Just something a little bit different to help. But always we have a lot of great resources on how to do some great short-term content and some long-term content. And it will help you out a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. One thing I just thought of while you were talking too is going live before. So, hey, I'm about to go live with such and such. We're going to do an interview today. What questions would you have for that? Or putting that in stories or something like that to where it's kind of creating the buzz before you even do the interview. And it shows appreciation to your guests as well that, hey, you're taking this seriously, like you're prepared, you're ready to do the interview, but also you care about them and promoting what they're doing as well. So
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Man, it's good stuff. 2021. Just
We're here
shaping
for
up,
it.
man. We are here for you 2021. So make sure that are we finished up? I'm sorry, I was just wrapping up.
This is like a hard-hitting short episode.
It really is. It's good. Just very consumable content.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, hey, that's it. If you guys want us to talk about more, we can ramble on, but make sure you stay tuned for the rapid fire questions. We got called out on that too recently that we didn't do our rapid fire questions. So we will make sure to hang in with rapid fire and what are you into this week? What are you obsessed with? Make sure that you guys let us know what you're obsessed with as well, but stick around for some rapid fire. Make sure you go check out the blog, goroguex.com/podcast, and all of the resources, everything we talked about will be right there. All right. Until next time, we'll see you then. Thanks. Lauren, are you ready for rapid fire?
I am.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Okay. All right. Well, before I didn't even think about this. I'm rocking my Dave and a camera hat.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave. You, buddy. I'm making sure I'm rocking that hat. I was going to say that in the episode, and I kind of forgot.
Dave. He's kind of like my spirit animal.
he's so many people's spirit animal. He's that guy who's like super excited in like your emails, and you're like, oh, this is like a real like me. I'm just like real bubbly. And you meet him, who's like, hey, what's up? But he's like solid. He is solid. Yeah. So anyway, big shout out to Dave and the camera. Go check him out if you need some camera work done.
Yes.
Beautiful stuff. All right. I'm okay. Ready. Let's do this.
What product would you refuse to promote?
Goodness. It's so intense. I refuse to promote. You answer that one. You've had time to think about this one.
I know, but it's one of those questions that I didn't know what to say.
This is like you could take a very political or religious stance.
Sure.
You guys get us in hot water with these.
I know. I had it though.
Oh, this is terrible.
Oh.
I'm sure everybody's like, well, I would not promote this. Like everybody already has something.
Okay, I have one. It's not the greatest, but I saw it was like a, those Christmas lists that were like stocking stuffers for your kids and everything. This product popped up, and it was a Dino Dana book. I don't know if you guys know this, but I hate that show so much. Like I would watch.
We've talked about this before.
That show, my children love it, and I hate it so much, and I refuse to play it for them. And my husband thinks I'm very mean.
Good for you, though.
That I hold true. Because she does this annoying squawk on every single episode, where she's like, "Goes squawk, squawk," and it's awful. And it goes through the whole house, and she's so annoying.
So there was a PBS show that there was like a kid he's the bald kid. Apparently got removed after like 20 years. It's been on PBS. But apparently he like throws
John Oliver
fits. Yeah, John Oliver. They actually quoted him in that article. But apparently they took it off the air. Like it's done. But he like throws temper tantrums. It's like very bad. Like there's no educational value. It just shows you how to be a terrible kid. So anyway, but I feel that.
Okay.
I got kids.
I mean, is there a product you hate?
No, I mean, so I was trying to think about this. I mean, I would never. I've had like family members die of like lung cancer, so I would not promote cigarettes.
So deep. For my squawking dinosaur Dana. Don't do drugs, kids.
We talked about Orson Welles in the episode before about getting high and watching trippy 70s movies, which we don't encourage. We do not encourage that.
Rapid fire
there are
spiraling
so
down.
many. I have never done drugs, but there are so many like references to like gateway content. I still get people call me out on that episode all the time. I'm like, you need to like sprinkle in the content. It's like gateway content before you get into the real stuff. And I still get people in. Anyway, that was a great clip. Moving on. Yeah, cigarettes. So I could not promote cigarettes, I guess. This is terrible. This is like a shorter episode. Now it's going to be
super
really long.
Okay. Okay, number 2. What's your must-have travel item?
Ooh, must-have travel item? Well, I mean, a toothbrush is kind of... Are you saying something else besides that? Okay.
That makes your travel easier, not that you have to have a toothbrush.
Well, TSA pre-check, always. And then... hey, I pay for that. It's worth it. It hasn't been worth it this year.
Yeah.
But previously it was
They're all
worth-
laughing at you this year.
Yeah, they're like TSAs. We got your money. All right, so I have this like thing that my wife got me. It's a little like holder for my iPhone charger and my charger, and like kind of sinks in, and it has my monogram in it, BFD. That's my monogram. I have the coolest monogram. I'm not gonna lie, I love it.
Okay.
Jacob knows what I was talking about. Shout out to producer Jacob. He's a BFD. You know what I'm saying?
my gosh.
So it is. I always take that with me. It's like it's kind of ready to go. Has all my chargers. I can never forget my chargers because of it. So there you go. I got there.
Your chargers.
It's not just my. It's the whole. It's like a wooden thing that she had made. It's
Do you,
really
do you have
fancy.
a spot for your toothbrush that's an essential item?
I do now. I got. I'm gonna flip my hair back right
your
here.
Onyx toothbrush.
Onyx. Oh, it's Onyx Black. It
Not
is.
like Onyx coffee brush.
Onyx Coffee's doing toothbrushes. After that black coffee, make sure you get those stains out. No, yeah. So Oral B.
Yeah.
reached out.
Shout out to Oral B.
Yeah, this might be my thing. Yeah. So I'm using the new toothbrush that they sent me. It's like a $300 toothbrush.
Do you like it?
I do. Yeah. It's got a actually really
Does it
nice
fly?
travel
Does
case.
it? I mean, it's a lot.
Almost, man. It's got all kind. I still haven't figured out everything on it, but it's not super complicated. I just haven't dug into it.
So I also have a fancy Oral B toothbrush that
yeah.
I won at a raffle. And it has a particular setting on it, and it sounds like a car because it goes. And it's like crazy loud.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's
I don't use
funny.
that setting because it drives me nuts. Okay, my must travel item is my gold beats.
We're still on this.
I didn't get an
No,
answer. You
I'm
just
sorry.
kept talking.
Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. If you're still in listening to this episode, God bless you. Let us know. We'll send you a t-shirt.
Yeah,
We're just always sending out t-shirts.
yeah. So my gold beats.
Go be. Hey, we haven't seen them.
I know.
If you're an
because
early
we got
fan,
fancy stuff.
we do. We got it. We got a studio space now. Back in the day, though, we were doing remote recordings. Lauren
Yeah.
always had her super fancy beats. Those are nice, by the way.
I
They're
love
nice.
them,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I went all in on the gold.
You should have. I mean, that's almost like the color now of 2021. I think
It
it's
is.
like white
Gold's
and
in.
gold or black and gold.
It's a big deal.
So good. All right. Wow.
That was rough.
That was intense. We're out.